Do you guys hate videos where I basically just talk about one single tweet Elon made? Well, you might hate this one because I have a hard time kind of not getting excited whenever Elon drops hints like this, but Golly from Hyperchange recently was tweeting at Elon Musk saying, "How hard did you sandbag the Plaid Model S, and don't tempt me with that horizontal display," and was basically talking about how he thinks the Plaid Model S is more ahead of schedule and it's probably going to be hitting market sooner than we think. And Elon Musk decided to reply with a winky emoji, which could mean absolutely nothing. He could just be trolling, he could be dropping hints, but you have to ask yourself, with how many tweets Elon gets every single day, out of all of the ones he chose to reply to, he saw the one about sandbagging the Model S and was like, you know what? That's the one. I'm gonna drop a winky face to this guy. I know he knows Golly pretty well and he's had questions from him and investor calls and that kind of thing, so he's aware of Hyperchange, but still, I think a little bit of an interesting development when recently there was a prototype Plaid Model S spotted recently. To be fair, we don't know for sure if this is the Plaid powertrain or some unknown prototype Tesla could just be toying around with. It had chrome delete and it apparently had a bit more of a wider stance and an updated rear diffuser. When I first looked at the pictures, I had a hard time telling that it was some kind of prototype or some kind of next-gen version of the Model S, but people with much clearer eyes were able to see it and notice the updated tires and all that kind of thing. And comparing it to the Plaid Model S images we saw at the Nürburgring and at Battery Investor Day, I'm convinced that this is most likely a prototype of Tesla's of sorts, and we know that the Model S and X production lines have been shut down for a few weeks and should be coming up shortly, but to me, it's starting to make perfect sense that maybe Tesla was sandbagging a little bit, especially when they talked about at Battery Day how they're already mass producing these 4680 cells for testing, and the factory line is operational, but they don't plan on bringing the Model S Plaid out to the markets until the end of 2021. It felt like there was a lot of prototype testing in there. Like, if they're pumping out batteries like this crazy, how long do they really need to test them for? And in my opinion, it makes a tremendous amount of sense to incorporate them into a high profit margin vehicle like the Plaid Model S first, because when you first start mass producing cells like this, there's going to be a low yield rate, as in a lot of the cells have to get thrown out or put aside, and a lot of the cells don't have quite the energy density or reliability that they're hoping for, but the small number of cells that are working properly, you can actually incorporate into a vehicle, and at least when you're first mass producing cells like this, they're going to be a bit expensive, right? Because you're not ironing out the process just yet, and putting them into a $140,000 Tesla like the Plaid Model S makes sense to me, and I think Tesla has proven in the past that sometimes, not all the times, but occasionally, they are willing to have release dates announced way further back than they actually end up being. The most recent example would, of course, be the Tesla Model Y, which they said deliveries would start in the fall of 2020, when in reality they started in like March of 2020. They were way ahead of schedule, and if we look at the initial Model Y specs they posted, Tesla was even able to bring the price lower than they initially promised, and when the prices were originally unveiled, that did not include autopilot, and that did not include the 19-inch Gemini wheels. So they brought the Model Y to market ahead of schedule and cheaper than promised, and with a better specification than promised. Way better range than they thought it was going to get. So I'm wondering if Tesla is doing something similar with the Plaid Model S, because I'm sure Tesla doesn't necessarily sandbag every timeline, especially looking at how Giga Texas is prioritizing Model Y production. Seeing the Cybertruck come out at the end of 2021 is looking a lot less likely than it was a year ago. But the Plaid Model S is a low volume vehicle, right? And a lot of the Model S design with the Plaid powertrain gets to be carried over. I know some of us are kind of bummed out about that. We want the updated interior, and the Model S has looked so similar for so long, we don't want it to just kind of stay the same. But even if they tweak the exterior and interior a little bit, it's kind of the same argument with the Model Y, right? Because I recall a lot of people saying, well, the only reason Tesla was ahead of schedule with the Model Y was because it shared so many similar parts with the Model 3. And I know that the Plaid Model S is going to have a lot of different infrastructure and a lot of different parts, but I still have to imagine that similar to how the Model Y shares a lot of parts with the Model 3, the Plaid Model S is probably going to share a lot of parts with the initial 2020 Model S. There will be a lot of parts that they swap out and new things that they add in regards to wiring and hopefully some updated interiors, but either way, I think that it's not too big a stretch to imagine that now we know, the Tesla semis in its prototyping production right now at Giga Nevada, and they're using 2170L cells, so they're not using the 4680 cell prototypes on the semi just yet, which when Battery Day first happened, that was a lot of people's running theory, was that the first vehicle to prototype and experiment with the 4680s would be the Semi, and now that's not the case. So if our hunch is correct that the 4680 cells are going to be making their way into vehicles a lot sooner than we initially expected, Plaid Model S makes a whole lot of sense to introduce it first, and I don't know exactly how ahead of schedule it could be. Of course, this is a very conceptual and theoretical video. We don't know for sure, but between the prototypes being sighted around the Tesla area and Elon Musk replying to Hyperchange's tweet, not really sure why he would do the winky face if that timeline was reasonable, and my guess is Tesla is way more competitive than they make themselves appear, and they don't like that the Lucid Air is supposed to be hitting market around April of this year, and that's going to have, 500-mile range, and Tesla cannot stand that. They're all for electric vehicles and stuff, but at the same time, there's that competitive heart they got inside them where they're thinking, even if it's just for a couple of months, we're going to be so angry if there's some other EV company delivering vehicles to consumers that gets to say, we have the highest range EV in the world, and you can actually buy it and drive it around. Tesla wants to retain that Range King title, and perhaps, I don't know if it's going to be this soon, but perhaps Tesla wants the Plaid Model S to come out around the summertime of this year and beat that late 2021 schedule. That way, the Lucid Air does not retain the longest range in an EV that is currently driving on roads for very long, okay? So I'd be very shocked if they were able to bring the Plaid Model S to market before the Lucid Air comes to market, but there's a lot of Tesla fans out there that are convinced that's going to be the case, and Tesla was sandbagging just like when they unveiled the Model Y and they said it wouldn't be ready till the end of 2020. It actually came out 6 to 9 months ahead of schedule. Maybe they're doing something similar with the Plaid Model S because it's such a low volume vehicle, such a high profit vehicle, that bringing it to market a little earlier isn't too difficult. And the bad news of this report could be just that the exterior and interior of the Model S don't end up changing too much, and that just results in a very similar looking Tesla, just with incredible groundbreaking specifications, over 520 miles of range, 0 to 60 in under 2 seconds, top speed of 200 miles an hour. I can't wait to see the EPA's official ratings for the specifications, but what do you guys think? Is the Plaid Model S going to be ahead of schedule? Is it going to be on schedule? Or is there a chance that it launches in just a few months and then Tesla has time to collect the data they can from the Plaid powertrain and incorporate it into a Tesla Roadster, maybe delivering by the end of this year? That's kind of best case scenario for me, but feel free to let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.